Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. This is a very, very interesting live stream because I don't usually talk about British politics, but congratulations to my UK viewers who are very happy tonight. I know I do have viewers in the UK and around the world who are more liberal or progressive, and this live stream is going to explain exactly why, in my perspective, well, perhaps not exactly why, but it's going to explain why Jeremy Corbyn lost and why Hillary Clinton in 2020 will lose, because Clinton is going to be nominee. Biden will not. We cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016. He will not. Elizabeth Warren is there to divide Bernie Sanders' campaign. So Boris Johnson, I mean, what a stunning victory. What a stunning victory. A really, really, really impressive, historic, landslide victory. Boris Johnson leads Tories to historic general election win. Okay, so Boris Johnson has clinched a historic Conservative general election victory, winning a string of seats from Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party in its traditional heartlands. Johnson's gamble of triggering a snap poll in the hope of uniting Brexit vote and leaving supporting... Okay, let's just read this. He won, or the Tories, the Conservatives, won 66 seats, 364 total. The Labour Party under Corbyn lost 42, so it's 364 to 203. They got decimated, absolutely obliterated. Corbyn conceded it has been, quote, a very disappointing night for the Labour Party with the result that we have got, and suggested Brexit overshadowed other issues. Well, yeah, the fact that one would be surprised at that is probably one of the reasons Labour lost. He said he would not lead his party into another general election, but the Labour needed a, quote, period of reflection. Well, at least they didn't blame Russia, which he would remain in place to oversee. Immediately after the polls closed at 10 p.m., the exit poll, which pointed to a much larger than expected Conservative majority of 86, sent shockwaves through both major parties. The Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell, appeared pale and shocked when confronted with the figures on the BBC. Asked whether he and Corbyn would stand down if it proved accurate, he said, quote, "We will see the results in the morning and decisions will be made then." The former mining constituency... Okay, so this is really, really, really interesting. It's really interesting. So you have an epic victory by Boris Johnson and the Tories, and a monumental, catastrophic defeat for Labour led by Jeremy Corbyn. Now, people should ask, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, YouTube has a thing with emojis. So Nelly, thank you so very, very much. Very, very kind of you, very sweet of you. And everybody, thank you so much, John Miller, for all the wonderful emojis. But there's a thing that YouTube has a policy, like too many emojis, and they might literally lock you out of your Gmail account. So I would suggest no emojis this evening, just because you know how it is, YouTube policies. And since this is international, hopefully I have some UK viewers watching. I just don't want anyone to be locked out of their account because YouTube has new policies. So you know how it goes. But thank you everybody who has shown their wonderful support for this channel. And election results 2019 BBC. It's interesting also. There's an interesting dynamic at play. So the BBC, The Guardian, media in the UK is very similar to media in the United States of America. Jeremy Corbyn, however, perhaps is a little bit too far to the left. They would rather have a David Cameron. But so you get this kind of really interesting response on social media. I don't have a Twitter and I do not have a Facebook. Fonzarelli! If I send you $5, HB is going to be... Hey, I love HB. Thank you. I love HB. He's great. Fonzarelli, thank you. Fonzarelli, thank you very, very much. HB is great. I'm in good standing with HB, and I like him a lot. Fonzarelli, thank you. This is really interesting. So there's a certain type, and if you're in the UK, give me your thoughts on this. There's a certain type of reaction from people who like Jeremy Corbyn regarding the media response. Perhaps it's similar to the way Bernie Sanders supporters... I'm a Trump supporter now. I'm voting for President Trump in 2020. But I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And according to the Washington Post, I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters. And one of the many, many correlations between Bernie Sanders and President Trump is that they both wanted a scaled-back U.S. foreign policy. Although Bernie Sanders now has taken perhaps the Jeremy Corbyn route on foreign policy, which is one of the reasons why he's no longer a crossover to conservatives or to Trump supporters or to independents, a lot of independents. But that's one of the main reasons you go from Bernie to President Trump. And I wrote in the Federalist, the article will be below, why Bernie supporters in 2016 should vote Trump 2020. But it's a really interesting reaction. They're blaming the media, but the media has a liberal spin, a liberal bias in the UK. So, hello, Beth John, hello. To all my UK viewers, hello, and congratulations on a fantastic, stunning victory and a great election. Election results 2019, Boris Johnson returns to power with a big majority. With just a handful of seats left to declare in the general election, the BBC forecasts a Tory majority of 78. The Prime Minister said it would give him a mandate to get Brexit done, good, and take the UK out of the EU next month. Okay, Jeremy Corbyn said Labour had a very disappointing night. That's an understatement, and he would not fight a future election. The BBC forecast suggests the Tories will get 364 MPs, Labour 203, the SNP 48, the Liberal Dems 12, and then you have the much smaller political parties. That means the Conservatives will have their biggest majority at Westminster since Margaret Thatcher's 1987 election victory. Yes! Yes! And I say yes because the Bernie Sanders of 2016, the average Bernie voter, wasn't in love with Jeremy Corbyn and his politics. Now, many were, but a great many weren't. Bernie Sanders had a crossover appeal. Jeremy Corbyn, not so much. Not so much at all. If your version of a scaled-back foreign policy is focusing on one country, only one country in the Middle East, and I'm not going to get into this because of YouTube policies, then, that's one of the reasons you lose. Carl's opinion! Thank you, Carl, as always. Hey, Mr. Goodman, mods in chat. Boris Johnson, one with the working class and middle-class voters who wanted their country. Sound familiar? Exactly. Carl and Cartman. Say hello to Cartman. And Carl, thank you so very much. You know what the interesting thing is, Carl? They're slowly realizing, and exactly, everyone subscribe here to my international audience, domestic audience in the United States. Subscribe to Carl's Opinion. He has a fantastic channel. Get him to 100,000 subs. But this is really, really, really interesting. The United Kingdom and the United States, you have record low unemployment in the U.S. and you have very low unemployment in the U.K. Very low unemployment in the U.K. 3.8%. Now in France, it's 8.6%. Not good. But this is really interesting. There's a graph here on Google. 3.7%, and it goes only up to August of 2019, but I don't know why this only goes to August, but as of August 2019, it was 3.8%. These figures give an official 4.7% now. Okay, it's still somewhat low. Now, in 2016, it was around 5%. Under President Trump, we've gone down from around 5% at the end of President Obama's administration to 3.7%. Similarly, in the UK, unemployment has gone down. You can't have a populist message, so Carl's opinion is 100% right. You can't have a populist message when the economy is doing well, generally doing well. It just doesn't work. On the left, that is. So that's one of the reasons UK unemployment falls to 44-year low. Despite, so unemployment in the United States also. And then you're looking at, it's hitting these low numbers with conservatives, Tories in power in the UK. And President Trump, Christina, Christ, thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. So you're looking at these historically low numbers in both the UK and the US. And there just happens to be Boris Johnson with an historic victory and President Trump who's on his way to re-election over Hillary Clinton again. Like I predicted in 2017 in my Huffington Post article, the article's below. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. I'm the only person on planet Earth, especially the only person on YouTube saying this. But the question is, why didn't Corbyn's platform or his campaign resonate? Why was this such a catastrophic defeat? It's the same reason the Democrats lost. It's the same reason that Democrats will lose again. When you conflate morality with your political viewpoint, that is a recipe for election defeat. You can't call people deplorables like Clinton did. You can't blame Russia for all of your faults and failures. And I mean, look, I don't live in the UK, but Corbyn and Labour, the average voter for Jeremy Corbyn is very likely saying, well, my viewpoint is moral. We must stay in the EU. This is a moral viewpoint. I am morally superior to people who are conservative or who vote Tory, to people who like Boris Johnson. These people are horrible or bigoted or short-sighted or not intelligent or whatever. And it's that mentality, it's that hubris, it's that arrogance that leads you to an historic defeat. Especially when you had somebody like Jeremy Corbyn, who perhaps was even too far to the left for Labour. So it's just interesting. The surprise drop in jobless rate came despite mounting concerns over chaos over Brexit in Westminster might have encouraged companies to freeze their hiring plans until they have greater clarity over the political situation. Also, the left in both countries, whether it's Labour or Democrats, they don't actually debate. What they do is a bunch of hyperbole, these like doomsday scenarios, conjecture, superlatives. Everything is a calamity. If you don't see things their way, you probably shouldn't even exist. It's a real big problem if you don't see things their way, and they're moral and they're wonderful and they're fighting for justice, but at the end of the day, they don't actually have an argument. Because they don't debate. They don't really debate their arguments. If you try to debate, they then say, well, that viewpoint is morally inferior. And then they paint you with that brush. Even though you're not actually engaging in anything morally inferior or bigoted or horrible. What you're doing is simply presenting a viewpoint that's contrary to their own. But they have to paint their viewpoint, whether you're a Democrat or you're a Labor in the UK or a Democrat in the United States of America. They have to paint their views as morally superior, because oftentimes their views are not feasible from a political sense. So they rest upon, well, at least I feel a certain way, and I am morally superior to you. So, I mean, the interesting thing is when you have record low unemployment in the UK and the US, you're not going to have a populist message from the left, and you're not even going to have a liberal message that resonates. So whether it was more an establishment figure in Labor, I don't know if he or she would have won anyway. They might have gotten more seats, but election results 2019, Boris Johnson, historic victory, and this will basically foreshadow President Trump's victory in 2020. Arieli, thank you. I think that it's really interesting when you look at how media spins all of this, because you look at media and they don't know what to make of it, because they're firmly on the side of Labor. They're firmly on the side of staying in the EU. They're firmly on the side of the Democratic Party. They're firmly on the side of, oh, well, Trump is so horrible and Boris Johnson is so horrible and these people are, Neanderthals and they lack intelligence and they lack savvy. They don't understand how things work. They're just reacting, and they're trying to manipulate the base emotions of people. Willow Dragon, thank you. But at the end of the day, like, it's not that if you lose by this type of margin, whether you're Jeremy Corbyn or whether you're Hillary Clinton, you're out of touch. You're out of touch with the average British citizen, and you're out of touch with the average American. But see, their mentality, the mentality of the left, the mentality of a liberal politician or a liberal or progressive voter, is that because they're morally superior, they don't even have to reach out. Even reaching out would be blasphemous. Even engaging in some kind of dialogue and discussion would be blasphemous. They'd become a heretic. They'd become H.A. Badman. They can't say anything good about Trump, even though there's a lot to say. Record low unemployment. Wages are up. Household median income is up. I mean, so many good things. First Step Act. He just signed an executive order. Okay, opposing anti-Semitism. And then there's an executive order protecting animals. I mean, it's like, this man must be stopped. And they engage also in these false fantasies, like these kind of fabricated arguments. If you don't vote this way, then you are you are supporting, and then I can't even say it on the live stream or YouTube, but you're supporting the most evil regime that's ever existed, and you're doing so, and you should just, you're immoral. You're immoral. Carl's opinion. Mr. Goodman agreed. Brexit foreshadowed Trump's victory in 2016, and this election will foreshadow his victory in 2020. Regular people in Britain, France, and the USA are pushing back against, yes. But also, the interesting thing is, Carl's opinion, and this is the language that Democrats and Labor speak without abiding by YouTube policy. So here's the language they speak. Multilateral, multinational cooperation is where the world should be leaning towards. But that doesn't work when you have different interests. Naturally, it is good. It is natural. It's wonderful for countries to have different interests. You don't always have to. I mean, do you go to your neighbors and say, why don't you just live with us? Do you go, is there one apartment for everybody in the apartment building? No. So, I mean, you have, from 1066 until recently, France and England never got along, and then Germany, and then they said, what we're going to do is we're going to just put everybody in one wonderful organization, and everyone's going to get along. They're getting along, but they have different interests. They have different economies. We would never. And see, the thing is, the liberals in the United States of America really, and now tell the UK, if there's people in the UK watching this, and I know there are, God bless you. Congratulations on an historic victory. And Carl's opinion just brought this up now, he brought up a lot of great points, but there's one other point in addition. It's that the President Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Bill Clinton, you look at any leader of the Democratic Party, well, it's a political machine run by Bill and Hillary. That's right. But no leading Democrat would ever in a million years join an economic union, a political union of various of other countries within our geographic location. We would never do that. I mean, I'm not talking about USMCA. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something where you have, whether it's Brussels or I don't know where it would be if we had our theoretical, union of states here, but we would never ever abide by any laws from another country ever in a million years. We would never do that. The United States would never do that ever. We would never do that. Never in a million years. So it's interesting to hear these pundits, liberal pundits in the United States of America, disparaging Boris Johnson or disparaging conservatives in the UK. We would never in a million years, because at the end of the day, we value autonomy more than anything else. You wouldn't know it by the way the media speaks, but we value autonomy over everything else. And we only join an organization if it's good for us economically or militarily. That's it. If it furthers our interests, that's it. That's the only reason. The only reason we would work with anyone is not to help North America. So I know that Europeans, a lot of Europeans view the EU as, a breakthrough, because for centuries nobody got along, and now people are forced to get along. But we would never do that. We would never do that. Sheldon Hofstadter, hello. Hi from Prague, 10 a.m. here now. Hello, Sheldon. I hope all is well. Thank you for watching. Please tell everyone that you know in Prague, please, to watch this channel. And my international audience is actually like an X factor. A wonderful, wonderful, because actually YouTube, they actually reward creators, content creators, if you have a lot of viewers in Prague or in the UK or in France or in Spain or in Italy or anywhere in the world, or in Argentina or in Nepal or anywhere, in India, anywhere. So thank you. So that's right, Johnny Rotten does alfalfa. That's right. That's right. But you know, the interesting thing about all of this is that, and Carl's opinion brought this. Carl's opinion touched upon this. Pilgrim Driver, you're doing God's work. Thank you, Pilgrim Driver. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. There's a reason that conservatives are winning around the world. It's because liberals or progressives, the way they engage in politics is oftentimes, and this is really the case, unfortunately, disingenuous, duplicitous, underhanded, manipulative, and for lack of a better word, conniving. And what they do is, instead of going to church or going to a religious, center or, place of gathering and talking about morality or, some kind of achieving some kind of higher morality, their religion is politics. So if you disagree with them, you're engaging in blasphemy. You're engaging in blasphemy. That's why they can't form an actual coherent argument. Like in the United States of America, progressives say, well, Medicare for all, Medicare for all. Okay, great. You know what? It's a noble idea, but it's not feasible. How do I know? Because even Democrats in the House don't want it. So there you go. It's not feasible. If it were feasible, we would go ahead. The Democrats in the House would go ahead and simply pass a Medicare for all bill or Green New Deal legislation or abolishing ICE, but they don't do this. They hide behind semantics. They hide behind this morally superior viewpoint that's not even morally superior. It's just, it's almost like they're using compassion as a sledgehammer. Eric H526, yes, exactly. That's perfectly stated. They're using Democrats and liberals or progressives like Jeremy Corbyn use compassion as like a political sledgehammer. And instead of actually engaging in what the average person wants, they pretend not to hear any other argument. Angela Goodwin, I wonder how the world will react hearing his wife and Andrew. They're probably happy, even though they might not overtly say it. But Playboy Echo, thank you. They're probably happy. If you're in the UK watching this, give me your viewpoint. I mean, what do you think? I just think that these types of stunning, historic, sweeping victories, they prove they prove everything that I've been saying since 2015. Now, you might say, well, how does a Bernie Sanders supporter go to Trump? Well, I explained that in the Federalist, but Bernie 2016 was not Jeremy Corbyn. No. Bernie 2020 is. Yeah, that's different. Bernie Sanders was two different, exactly, Joe Public, exactly. So Bernie Sanders 2020 is Jeremy Corbyn. Bernie 2016 was not. So, hello. Thank you. Asatru Jotun, thank you. It's interesting too because I'll watch, I love to watch the House of Commons, but I like to watch the House of Commons when Margaret Thatcher was there. And then when the other prime ministers were there, there's different prime ministers watching the House of Commons under these prime ministers is hilarious. So Margaret Thatcher, let's just put it this way. She's everything that Madam Secretary wasn't. Margaret Thatcher in the House of Commons was strong, intelligent. I mean, nobody could ever, she could never in a million years be bullied by anyone. She would actually decide what the narrative was. And it's really interesting because it's almost as if for a while her political opponents within the House of Commons were like powerless against her. But then you had John Major, then you had Tony Blair. Gordon Brown was an interesting one because I would watch House of Commons with him, and he didn't have the gravitas of Margaret Thatcher. It would almost seem like he was he was the most sincere, but he would always not lose the argument, but I don't know. It would seem like they would try to bully him. Then David Cameron perhaps didn't seem very sincere at all, but he would do well in debate. I would listen. And Theresa May, I don't really see her that way. Boris Johnson, I haven't seen that much in the House of Commons. I have to look and see. I mean, Boris Johnson is pretty good speaker. John Major was cerebral. Tony Blair was kind of like a Bill Clinton type person. So if you give me your thoughts about my evaluations if you're a UK viewer. Revco! Corbyn is gone, the left lost, and it looks like Populist is poised to take all of Europe the next few years. Love you, HA. Keep it up. Revco! Thank you, Revco. Yeah, I mean, unless politics, liberal politics in Europe and in the United States of America becomes more genuine, meaning that they're open to dialogue, open to speaking, open to actual dissent or a differing viewpoint. Unless they change, they will never win again, Revco. Unless they change, they will never win again. Thank you very much. Pilgrim Driver! Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of York. That's right. That's right. Was that Henry V? Now is the summer of our discontent. Richard III, that's right. What am I saying? Richard III.
Now is the summer of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of York, and all the clouds that lord upon our house, in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Yes, Pilgrim Driver! Yes. I knew it was Richard III.
There's so many parallels aside from the historical parallels or the historical, like Americans and the British are like cousins. Obviously, we broke away, and we obviously have their language, the English language. But quantum football, with Ireland appearing to have really horrible economic and demographic, do you think onto his next populist party to go from essentially nothing to significant? Shadowy Boris. I don't know. A lot of the smaller political parties actually, it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. Irish politics is really interesting too. I actually saw, I saw the debate with. There was a wonderful debate. I know they've had many debates like we have during their elections. I saw a couple elections ago a debate between, and it was so like you look at like Europeans. If it's Irish or the UK or even France, I speak French, little French. I can understand most of the debates. They're so much more cerebral than we are. They're so much more cerebral. I don't know. To tell you the truth, I can't answer that. Quantum football. I can't answer that. I don't know. Irish politics also is one thing I do know is very different from the United States and very different from the UK. I really can't answer that. I know that Ireland is a lot more liberal, a lot more liberal than the UK and the US. So, one thing I do know about Carl's opinion, I speak American too. Quantum football. One thing I do know about Irish politics is that they're way more to the left than the US and the UK. Way more. It's so wonderful when you think about, Boris Johnson and Trump winning. It really is like the most unpopular kid in class becoming class president. So quantum football, thank you. I wish I could answer. But in any country, the smaller, more idealistic parties don't usually. You saw this with Farage recently, but he influenced the debate big time, but they don't usually break out. And in the U.S., the interesting thing is you have the Green Party, which was growing for a moment, and then Democrats, tried to obliterate it. The Democratic Party is really interesting. Like, the Republicans, if you're extremely conservative, whether it's tax reform, that you have really conservative people wanting tax reform or tax cuts, and then they'll cater to extreme conservative views because extreme conservative views you can implement them. Like Democrats think extreme conservative means bigoted, but just in terms of tax cuts or in terms of other Trump policies that you can actually implement them. The extreme on the left you can't implement. So that's like an existential issue that they face. Pilgrim driver! I have a cousin that lives in Dublin. Very cool. Awesome. Revco, most of Europe is left-wing. Their conservative parties tend to be more center-left. That's true, most cases. Extreme parties are starting to make an impact. Swedish term. That's true. No, I agree with you. Revco. I agree with you. I see that. The problem is that they don't, they don't engage in honest dialogue or debate. Liberals in any country don't engage in honest dialogue or debate. They don't admit certain things that I can't even talk about on YouTube. They don't admit certain things. To admit certain things undermines their morally superior vantage point. So rather than admit certain things, what they do is they try to paint you as, morally inferior. They try to paint you as a bad human being. You're a bad human being. Bad human being. Bad human being. Because you don't agree with them. Believe me, I lived my life, for most of my life, I was either liberal or far to the left, and I realized, hey, wait a second, I'm actually going to oppose, eventually I'm going to have to oppose certain views. I'm not even going to get into them on YouTube. But I'm like, wait a second. 'Cause I remember being on the left and saying, this isn't right. But then I'm like, I don't want to create too many waves. Then it's like slowly but surely, I'm like, what? No. What? No. What? No. Oh. And suddenly I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. Peace. I'm out. I'm out of here. And then you have friends. Brutus DM. Brutus DM. It's all about the people are living way beyond there. Brutus DM. Thank you. Brutus DM. That's either way too philosophical for me or I don't understand it. But Brutus DM, thank you. That's also a great name. In addition to Amish Space Force and a whole bunch of other names that we have. Some really great names. Carl's Opinion's a great name too. It's actually Carl. That's like the most benign but wonderful name. Carl's Opinion. It's just, thank you, Brutus DM. Thank you. Left projects their on bigotry and insecurity on their opponents. If you want to know what they are guilty of, yes. If you want to know what they are guilty of, listen to their accusations. Exactly. My God, the projection is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm going to tell everyone a story, okay? And I'm going to tell you in a way that is both YouTube friendly and interesting at the same time. There are people that I know who live in a very affluent location in the United States of America. And in this affluent and wealthy location, Eric H526, yeah. Story time. Eric H526. Hollywood Illusion, hello. In this affluent and wealthy and hip and liberal and enlightened
emphasis on the word enlightened location, where the future of the planet is of utmost importance, and opposing the orange menace is the number one goal of all of these wonderful, affluent, well-connected, compassionate, moral individuals. In this pristine location of only enlightened beings in the United States of America, where some of my people that I know live, there happens to be people, wonderful human beings, who do not have a place of their own. And therefore they're forced to dwell in an environment without, God bless them, without shelter. And sometimes what they do is they make their dwellings near these beautiful, lavish, wealthy, architecturally brilliant homes. And what do you think happens? What do you think happens when and this is, this is all anecdotal, and just don't quote me on anything, but what do you think happens when people who perhaps are not so fortunate make their dwelling next to these lavish architectural masterpieces? Oh my God, you've never seen, how shall I say, retaliation. You've never seen the most base, I mean, they do anything from calling law enforcement immediately to taking the law into their own hands to try to, how shall we say, give certain people incentive to no longer make their dwellings near these lavish homes. And I'm asking myself when I'm hearing these stories from people I know, my God, these are liberals. And look what they're doing to human beings who are less fortunate. My God. My God. My God, the hypocrisy. You're willing to engage in such devious, base, mean behavior against human beings who are perhaps less fortunate than you. And you're guilty of everything that you accuse supporters of President Trump. Yet you would disparage others for a political viewpoint when you yourself, when inconvenienced, engage in such treachery. But that's the Democratic Party. So what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? That's the way they are. It's story time. It's algorithmic story time. Yes. Algorithmic story time. Hey. Notice I could have told the story in about 10 seconds, but, It's just really interesting, ladies and gentlemen. It's really interesting. Revco, Brutus, Pilgrim Driver, Quantum Football, Angela, Carl's Opinion, Sheldon, it's really interesting how almost certainly Labor will not learn from this stunning and monumental defeat. Because for them to learn, for Democrats to learn, media, the entertainment industry, music, popular culture has to perhaps be less judgmental, which I think that we're leading towards that world. Enough electoral defeats, and you will see the paradigm become more accepting of different viewpoints. You will see the paradigm change with more defeats. The only thing it takes is more defeats. You can't continue this type of when you're decimated politically, and which is what they were. You know, this is no joke. I mean, this wasn't a close election in the UK. It was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. You will not see a person like Jeremy Corbyn in British politics for a while, if not for a very long time. 364. Boris Johnson gained 66 seats. Labour lost 46. The Tories gained 66. Labour lost 42. This is a stunning defeat. This is an historic defeat. And you saw it coming. You saw it coming. I mean, you know, Tamra, better late than never. Thank you, Tamra. Thank you, Tamra. Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Tamra, very, very much. Zoomer Hub! Give up your liberties at the cost of security and you will lose both. Trump made a terrible decision here by undermining the First Amendment. I think President Trump has had to reach out, or I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to regarding Trump. I do know that you are right in terms of some of the things that the president has done in terms of the Bill of Rights. Oh, you're talking about the executive order. Well, I see your point. I like Trump's executive order, but I see your point. I respect your viewpoint 100%. I might disagree a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but I might disagree a little bit, but I respect your viewpoint 100%. Zoomer Hub! Thank you, Zoomer Hub. I see what you're saying. Revco! Sorry, off topic. What do you think of about the proposed laws in Virginia? Do you see one of the Dems mentioning bringing the National Guard crazy? Yeah, I don't really, Virginia is interesting because you have D.C., you have the establishment, there. I think it's very bizarre. The law is the law. Virginia Democrats float prosecution National Guard deployment if police don't. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, though, that's the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, if they don't get exactly what they want, they're willing to engage in. They're willing to engage in the most treachery. Revco. It's kind of like, it's really hilarious. It's like giving It's like giving an ICBM. Democrats are like giving an ICBM to like a beautiful, nice unicorn. And if the unicorn doesn't get its way, it's like game over. Good luck. I don't even want to get into it too much on YouTube, but good luck trying to enforce that with citizens who will not. In Virginia, you have
you do have a lot of citizens who take the Bill of Rights, certain Bill of Rights, very seriously. So good luck trying to enforce that. Tamra, thank you. Democrats are hilarious, too. They're like, Revco, Democrats are hilarious. Like, well, the justice system is inherently unfair. Then they're like, remove the Bill of Rights from citizens. It's like, wait, which one is it? Which one is it? You said that the justice system in the United States of America is inherently unfair. It's inherently unfair. Its existence is riddled with inequities. Oh, but you know what? Limit the Bill of Rights so the average citizen doesn't get to enjoy the Bill of Rights. They keep on talking about the founders. I don't even think they really care what the founders actually thought. Pilgrim driver, Mr. Goodman Trump is packing all the time. Well, I don't know about that, but he's got people around him. That's for sure. That's for sure. That is for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, also, to the 400 people watching, subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. Make sure to subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. Yeah, this is the Democratic Party, and I think perhaps liberal parties in other countries face an existential dilemma in terms of their politics. The most exciting, energetic, and the most exciting or noble, I'm being hyperbolic here, but the most exciting policies are not feasible. So a lot of Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders policies are not feasible. Or they don't have national appeal. And when given surveys or polls or focus groups, when you really explain, hey, you know what, your taxes are going to go up, then suddenly Medicare for All support goes down. But you won't have to pay a copay. You won't have to pay a premium. Not everybody has the same premium amount. My God almighty. But the interesting thing is that the Democratic establishment doesn't really have any exciting policies. The reality is that the Democratic establishment only differs from the Republican establishment on like 2 or 3 or 4 major issues. That's it. Really differs. I'm talking about a stark contrast. A stark contrast. Because if they really cared about climate change, they would have already passed climate change legislation. They don't believe what they say because they haven't passed the legislation. So what they do is they take these hot-button topics and they pontificate and they moralize and they preach and they condemn. This is a hallmark of the left in the UK and the US and everywhere. They condemn. They judge. The condemnation and the judgment. They even lose friendships. Tamra! H.A. keeps us sane. And thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, Tamra, everyone here, all 400 people in the U.S., the U.K., and around the world, New Zealand, Australia, everyone, you keep me sane. And I have the best comment section on YouTube, on H.A. Goodman, this channel, on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I really do. I have the best comment section. I have the most amazing people. Tamra, thank you. And to everyone here, thank you. You keep me sane. And we're going to need each other, everyone here and myself. We're going to need each other the next year because the winning, it's going to be fun enjoying the winning with everyone, but also the spin, the manipulation, the condemnation from the left, it's going to be hilarious. While at the same time, it'll be a catharsis to kind of experience this with everybody because We've all, if you've been here since 2015, I know Eric H526 has. We've all seen, ladies and gentlemen, what happened in 2016. And it's going to be even more divisive, not because of us, because of people who know they're going to lose in 2020. Tamara, thank you. Carl's opinion. Remember, it was our fellow citizens and our neighbors in the National Guard in Louisiana that went door to door in New Orleans after Katrina in 2004, confiscating their neighbors. Wow. Knocking down their doors. Wow. That's right, Carl's opinion. And that was the time when you needed the Bill of Rights the most. Wow. Carl's opinion brings up, one of the most important issues. It's true. Everyone subscribe to Carl's opinion. Wow, wow. That is something to ponder. That is something to think about. That's true, Carl's opinion. That stopped me in my tracks, Carl's opinion. Stopped me in my tracks. Hello, good morning. Thank you for watching from Britain. Thank you. Hello. Yeah, I gotta read this again. Boris Johnson leads Tories to historic general election win. By the way, Boris Johnson was mocked, denigrated, disparaged. They went after him. Exactly. Pilgrim Driver will enjoy the... Pilgrim Driver, thank you. Boris Johnson, he's even in a bunch of songs also. UK election live results. Boris Johnson returned as PM after Tory majority confirmed. Labour lost 42, Tories Conservative won 66. Boris Johnson's Conservative Party secured a majority by seizing seats from the Labour Party in its traditional heartlands in the North and the Midlands. Boris Johnson remains Prime Minister and should now be able to get his Brexit deal through Parliament. Finally, hallelujah, thank God. After a disastrous night, Jeremy Corbyn has said he will not lead. I mean, how many resolutions or how many referendums can you have? They're like, we're going to take it to the people. We're going to take it to the people again. I'm going to take it to the people. Take it to the people again. What happened? We took it to the people, and what happened? Took it to the people again. Let's try again. We're taking it to the people one more time. These people won't learn. Trump. The Orange Menace. It's engulfing the UK in orangeness. We're taking it to the people. Finally. Just think about it again. Think about it. Don't make a wrong decision. Oh, no. Not again. We took it to the people again. They keep saying the same thing. These people need to be educated a certain way. It's like, well, once they voted, they pretty much told you what they want. Here in the U.S., we're like, the Russians. You would have voted for Hillary had you not known she cheated Bernie Sanders. And who told you that? Who told you that Bernie was cheated? It was Putin. The puny Putin. We'll get you yet. And now you're trying to get to the Ukraine to help you against Biden's no malarkey tour. Ha! The No Malarkey Tour. He's like, you know what? I'm only going to go ahead and have one term. Like, one term? What are you talking about, man? One term? What? I've thought about it long and hard. And the No Malarkey bus tour, because we will defeat Trump. The Orange Menace. The Orange Menace will not prevail. And we're just going to go one term. And then we'll hand it off like a baton to some really wonderful liberal leaders. Tamra, take it to the people. Again, for the sake of the orangeness. Exactly. Carl's opinion. Take it to the people. Tamra, we're going to take it to the people. Thank you. Tamra. Yeah, that's what they're like. You know what? We'll take it to the people. What have the people said? Oh, that's not good. They voiced their concerns and opinions again. Little do they know, we don't care about their viewpoints. We'll take it to the people again. What happened? Same thing? Another take it to the people. Listen, people. If you don't listen, and listen good, we're taking it to you, and you're going to vote the way we want it. Oh, no. We took it to the people, it didn't work. Funny thing about democracy and elections, sometimes you lose. Yeah. That's funny. It's bizarre how that happens. It's bizarre how that happens. They're like, and the hilarious thing is that when they lose, it's such a stunning, like, and I most of my friends are Democrats and liberals, and I see this. When they lose, it's like their world is shattered. How could there be a world? Tamra, thank you again. How could there be a world that doesn't view things the way we do? Which, incidentally, is really hilarious. There are people who can't stand me, especially on, like, message boards. They're like these Democratic Party, like, message boards. It's so hilarious. It's so hilarious. All throughout 2016. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And they don't get it, too. Like, oh, my God, Trump. He's Thanos. Don't they realize Thanos was the bad guy? It's like, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not getting it at all. No, you're not. He's going up against the establishment. Don't take it literally. My God almighty, don't take it literally. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm Iron Man. It's like, let's look at what, you know what? Let's look at what, it's interesting to see what social media says about this. So, let's see. What are people saying about, Donald Trump. Congratulations to Boris Johnson on his great win. Britain and the United States will now be free to strike a massive new trade deal after Brexit. He's rubbing it in. This deal has the potential to be far bigger and more lucrative than any deal that could be made in the EU. Celebrate, Boris. Yes. Oh, I love this.
Oh my God. This is horrible. I'm actually watching this on. Don't ever look at social media. It's like, anyway, there's always something on social media that's, And then of course there's a cartoon with them talking about their hair. It's and also the one hallmark of the left in any country is to mock and denigrate and ridicule political opponents. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. They tried to ridicule me. I don't care. If a person is judged by their political opponents, there's nothing much to say about me. The people who don't like me are the biggest, I don't know, how shall we say, imbeciles. It's like the people who don't like me, it's like, why would I care what people think about me? Nobody should care. Yes, Ryan Jackson. That's right, the Reddit bot activator. Yes! Ryan Jackson, thank you. That has to be, I would love that name, the Reddit bot activator. I really was. Ryan Jackson, thank you very much. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to write that comment down. Ryan Jackson, H.A. Goodman, the Reddit bot activator. It's true. Oh my God. If you enjoy me and my wacky personality and my viewpoints, I had a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and oh my God, was it hilarious. And it was pretty much, I was telling people, I'm look, this is my viewpoint. I'm oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. This was in 2016. I was yeah, I'm not voting for Clinton. Oh what, oh what, oh what, oh what. I was really the Reddit bot activator then. Ryan Jackson, thank you. Great comment, great comment. Oh my God, that's hilarious. The Ask Me Anything on Reddit was so hilarious. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you again, Ryan. Jesse, thank you. And the thing with President Trump, and I think Boris Johnson has a little bit of this also. Let's look at Boris Johnson on Twitter. Boris Johnson. I will repay the trust of the voters. See, if Jeremy Corbyn won, he wouldn't have said that. He would have been like, you know what? I'm morally better, and yay. Boris Johnson, does he tweet a lot? Let me see. They had one issue that let Labor, and he has boxing gloves with Get Brexit Done. I mean, it's brilliant. But it's like they don't understand. The problem is that Democrats and Labor, Democrats in the U.S. and Labor in the U.K. don't understand why anyone would vote Boris Johnson or Trump. They don't get it. They're so stuck in their own world that they think that anyone who deviates is only voting because they're a Neanderthal and they lack common sense or they lack intelligence. It's like, no, that's not why at all. That's not why at all. In fact, the most intelligent people, the most wonderful people, the most beautiful human beings voted Trump and Boris Johnson. Yeah, they just happen to disagree. Yeah, sometimes that happens in life. Democrats are like, they're like a spouse that says, honey, where's the remote control? Oh, I don't know where the remote control is. You deliberately put the remote control someplace I couldn't find it. This is immoral. You deliberately did it. You did it to spite me and to elevate my blood pressure. No, I don't know where the remote control is, but you're attributing the disappearance of the remote control to a lot of other factors that have nothing to do with me. That's funny. Why would you do that? You deliberately hid the remote control, knowing I had a hard day at work. I just wanted to watch National Geographic. And you hid the remote control. And now I'm on to you exactly what you're doing. That's the Democratic Party. That's the Labor Party. Everything like a difference of opinion is a calamity. Do you understand? It's a calamity. It's a calamity of epic proportions. It's a big problem. Big problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, all I can tell you is we got 400 people here. It's the middle of the night in the United States of America. And yes, Revco, yes. Tim Pool talks about that a lot too. There's actual research paper on that. Conservatives can accurately predict leftists, but leftists can almost never predict the position of conservatives. UK vote shows this exactly. Hippie Kusher, hello, thank you. It's true, Revco, it's true. I was going to end the live stream, but that's an interesting point because for a person on the left, a progressive, a liberal, a labor voter, Zoomer Hub, sure, people do. I think people, if they want to. Zoomer Hub, if individuals want to, yes. I think like a political party, I would oppose that. But if individuals want to, sure, if they want to. Tamra, just because you make me laugh. Thank you, Tamra. Thank you. Thank you. Zoomer Hub, thank you. Tamra, thank you. Tamra, you know the interesting thing? The interesting thing is that, and Revco brought this up. Tell me, I want everybody to, all 400 people, I'm going to bring the mic closer to me. And here. I don't care what anyone's viewpoints are. In fact, if somebody came to me and said, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton, H.A. bad man, what do you think of that? I would say, okay, that's fine. I'm voting for Clinton in 2020, H.A. bad man. What do you think of that? I'd be like, well, God bless you, that's fine. Well, I don't care. What does that have to do with me? Similarly, Zoomer Hub, if somebody came to me, and I've known people in my life, really wonderful people actually, who said, well, you know what? I don't like that country, but I love people of your background, but I don't like that country. I'd be like, well, you know what? Hey, to each his own. In fact, I knew a very wonderful person, long time ago, who stuck up for me big time. Long time ago, when I was actually in college, selling cars, which is interesting. It was an interesting story. Anyway, a Honda dealership. But anyway, I don't really care what people's individual viewpoints are. It's generally Democrats who create maxims. They live by maxims. If you believe this, then you are not moral. If you abide by this philosophy or viewpoint, or even if you support this country, that country, if you
don't agree with me, therefore you support all the negative things and all the horrible things in the world. That's not the case. Of course, I'm being vague because of YouTube policies. But I'm not the one. I'm not the one who tells friends that I have, oh, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. I have been told, not told, but basically, when somebody, stops talking to you, it's obviously because they can't stand your viewpoints. It's the left that lives within a world where they, if you don't believe exactly the way they believe, if you don't have the 100% viewpoint they have, then there's something wrong with you. You're morally inferior, and you've sided with their political adversaries in every single way, shape, and form, and they don't want anything to do with you anymore. And that's a hallmark. That's a hallmark of the left. Liberal politics. And it's interesting. You get into this. When I was on the left, I realized, my God, this is like, you have elements of a kind of cultish atmosphere where if you deviate a little bit, the deviation is linked directly to all the negative and horrible aspects of people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum as you. There's no gray area. There's no in between. So I remember, when I was on the left, I was like, well, there's a great comedy channel where the segment is "Don't Make Me Defend Trump." There's a great comedy. I'll tell you exactly. Everybody, 438 people. Okay, I'll tell you exactly who to subscribe to. Hold on. What is it? Don't make me defend Trump. Where is that? Oh, here. It's We the Internet TV. They are amazing. It's 1,628,000 views. I remember when this was only 40,000 views. It's Stop Making Me Defend Donald Trump. We the Internet TV. It's so great. And I remember when I was on the left, I remember. And it was just so hilarious. It was just so hilarious because it's never good enough. Do you understand? You're never, unless you think exactly the way they do, and there's 50 different factions as well. There's different, they're divided into 40 to 50, or I should say probably 10 to 20 different factions. Where if you don't believe exactly in the manner, what they do, what they believe, you're the biggest problem in the world. Revco! If ever comes to America, will come in the name of liberalism. This sums up what you were saying, and that is the sad truth. It's true. It's true, Revco. It's true. One hallmark of that word, Revco, you're 100% right, and one hallmark of that word is to intimidate an opposing viewpoint as opposed to using logic and reason to address that opposing viewpoint. Whether it's through physical means or denigration or mocking, you have Democrats, they don't media, they don't engage in honest discourse. They don't engage in honest discourse. I had a debate with Richard Spencer on this channel. You can check it on YouTube, everyone, where I defeat his viewpoint with logic and reason. And the response from some people who, by the way, this one conservative slash, I don't know, Democrat, whatever. Who knows what the line between Democrats and conservatives? This person was like, oh yeah, H.A. Badman is giving a voice to this horrible person. It's like, no, you defeat viewpoints you feel are abhorrent with logic and reason. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to defeat what you find repugnant with reason and logic. But the left sees that, well, you're giving a vantage point to this part. You're giving a forum. He's like, you know what? People have forums. That's the internet. They have forums already. They have forums. Eric H526, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Carl's opinion, everyone. Tamra, everyone. Revco, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone here. Zoomer Hub, thank you. Everyone, thank you. To my UK viewers, God bless you. Congratulations. Tamra! For Eric staying up to 5 a.m. tomorrow. Eric H526 is the man. Tamra, thank you so very, very much. Go Seahawks. Go Seahawks. Hey, Russell Wilson. He's awesome. Tamra, thank you. And Eric H526, all 448 people here, give a big shout out to Eric H526. He's really wonderful. And subscribe to his channel. Everybody, Revco, Carl's opinion. Thank you, everyone. Tamra, God bless you. To my UK viewers, William Sampley, thank you. Thank you. To my UK viewers, congratulations. Congratulations to my UK viewers on an historic defeat of the Labour Party, but an historic victory of epic and monumental proportions. God bless you. Thank you for always watching this channel. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.